Hi guys, welcome back to my kitchen for another video. In today's video we're going to be spending time here in the kitchen and we're going to be baking some delicious things. The thing though is that we are going to bake them and put them in the freezer. I love having baked goods, but I love not having to bake them every time that I want them. So the idea is to bake, have one big baking day, fill my freezer with a few things and have them and enjoy them for the next few weeks. So we are going to be making a reverse marble bundt cake, some jumbo chocolate chip cookies, and some peanut chews. Delicious. All of those are delicious. All of them are things that I've made before. The only thing to note is that I'm using recipe books, so I will not be able to share the recipes that I'm making with you. But for the cookies and for the peanut chew, I found a recipe that I can link for you that is pretty similar. So I will link those for you. But if you want to see how I make it and you think you might enjoy this concept of baking for the freezer, then follow along and let's get right into it. Okay, so I prepared the first few things here for our cake. We're starting with a reverse marble bundt cake. So I got my mixer ready. I've got my oven preheating. And we're going to start by beating our eggs together. And then we're going to add in the rest of the ingredients as we're putting it in. Once the eggs are well beaten, we're going to start by adding in our sugar. Next is some oil, flour, and this got really thick so I turned the machine off. We're going to add some water and finally some baking soda. Now we're going to remove some of the batter to be able to make the reverse marble bundt cake. So we're removing some that will stay white, and the remaining batter we'll add cocoa to make it into a chocolate cake. Now usually for a marble cake you would do the opposite. You would remove some and make that little bit into the chocolate so that it can be mixed into and marbleized into the cake. But because we're doing the opposite way, we're going to remove some and then add the cocoa to the majority of the batter. To make the chocolate part, we're also going to add some coffee. So I have some warm water. I'm going to add some coffee to it, let it dissolve, and then we're going to be able to mix that into the batter. Last, we'll add the cocoa and let this mix until it is nice and smooth. And I'm going to scrape down the sides one time before finally turning off the machine. Now that the batter is done, I have my bundt pan here. I have my bundt pan. Let me just make some space. I'm going to spray this with a baking spray. I'm being very generous because last time I made a bundt cake, a chunk of it fell off. But luckily, I was able to get it out and the cake was still hot, so I let it cool on top of it and it basically stuck together just from the heat. Okay, so we're going to pour this batter into the bundt pan. Now all the recipes that I'm making today are from a recipe book. So my daughter went through all the recipe books that I have in the house. And she put together a list of recipes that she wants to make over the summer. So this week's today's Thursday. This week's Shabbos we're going away. So I figured I might as well use the day instead of Shabbos cooking, do something that I've wanted to do for quite a while now, which is stock my freezer with some delicious baked goods. So whenever we want, we can just pull some out and have delicious treats. So I referenced her list so that we might as well make some stuff. Now, I know that she wanted to make these things, but I figured there's plenty more on the list that she can do over the next couple months. But at least I know that it's going to be something that most of us will enjoy, because the recipe books that I have in the house, most of us like most of the recipes in there. I like to create the marble effect with a score, so I'm going to use a wooden one here. So that is all to say that I will not have the recipes for you linked down below because they are from books, but this I'm just sharing with you the concept of baking to fill up your freezer whenever you have time, so that you can enjoy freshly baked goods whenever you want. So what I usually do with a bundt cake, or any cake that I make for the freezer, is that I will divide it, like once it's cool, I will cut it into pieces. Either I will slice it, or like a bundt cake, I will cut into quarters, and like that, I don't have to take out the entire cake all at once. Now to create the marble effect, I'm going to take my skewer and I go like that. Okay, this is now going to go into the oven for an hour. So while this is baking, I am going to eat some lunch, and when this comes out of the oven is when we're going to make the rest of our stuff. The rest of our delicious baked treats. One is not even baked. Okay, so our cake is ready. So I started it with a 55 minutes. It wasn't ready. So I added 5 more minutes. It still wasn't ready. So I did 5 additional minutes, and now it's ready. So we're going to let it cool like this for 10 minutes. Then we're going to get it out, and then we're going to get going with our next recipe. Okay, let's see. Let's cross our fingers and hope, yep, that it all comes out. Beautiful. Look at that. Nothing stuck in here. Perfect. We're going to let that cool. But while this is cooling, we can get going with our next thing, which will be cookies. So we're going to bring the mixer back, and the bowl that we used earlier for the cake, I just rinsed, I let it soak. So now I have to rinse it and dry it before we get going. I'm going to use my dough hook to make this cookie dough. Let me take out the ingredients that we're going to need, so like that I don't have to keep running back and forth, and then we'll get going with this. So I already have 2 sticks of margarine here that I've had out for quite a while now. They've come to room temperature, they're nice and soft. We've got sugar, chocolate chips, got some brown sugar. I cracked some eggs into a ramekin, so it's ready for us. I don't think it's a good idea over there. Flour, baking soda, and salt. So just like before, I'm gonna start with the first couple of ingredients. We're gonna mix it, and then we're gonna slowly add in the rest of them. So we're gonna start off with the margarine and sugar. As I'm editing this, I realized that I probably should have added the brown sugar together with the margarine and the regular sugar, but I missed it, so I'm sure I'm adding it in afterwards. And then we're slowly going to add in the remaining ingredients, mix until it's a nice firm dough. Add in the chocolate chips, mix it until it's just combined, and that's it. Cookie dough is one of the simplest things to make. Now that this is ready, we're gonna line some. I'm actually gonna first clean up over here, make space, then we're gonna line some cookie sheets with parchment paper. And the next recipe, we don't need the machine, so we can put it away. And we're not gonna need any of this ingredients, so we can put those away as well. So the way that we are going to prep this for the freezer so that we always have fresh baked goods is that I'm only going to bake a few of them today. The rest of them I'm going to scoop them, but we're not going to bake it. We're going to freeze it. And whenever we want to have them for a treat, then I just take it out of the freezer, bake it then from frozen for maybe an additional 2 minutes. And you have fresh cookies. So I think I'm going to make 4 cookies so that we can have it for dessert today after dinner. And we're gonna have someone come over this afternoon, so that's why I'm making 4, not 3. So these, if you can see, I'm using an ice cream scooper because they are jumbo cookies. So you want them big. And these are going to bake for 15 to 18 minutes. Okay, so I lined another cookie sheet with parchment paper. And for this, I'm just going to lay the cookies down here to flash freeze so we don't have to space them apart. For this last cookie, I'm scraping everything out that I can. So it doesn't have a lot of chocolate chips, but it'll still be a delicious jumbo soft cookie. Okay, I'm letting that bowl soak. So this will now go into the freezer and we can get going with our next recipe. Now, while that is freezing, I'm going to prepare a bag that I'm going to put the frozen cookies into. And I'm going to write what it is and the baking instructions. So this is ready for us. For our next recipe, all we're going to need is a bowl. That was louder than I intended to. And a spatula. And this is a pretty straightforward recipe. And for this, I actually found a recipe online for you that is pretty similar to this. So I will link that for you down below. So we need an entire container of marshmallow fluff. This I've actually never frozen, so we'll see how it goes. Because if we have it fresh and I keep it out, we're gonna finish it all, and this is way too much for just 3 of us to finish. Okay, this is separated the peanut butter, but we're going to do an entire jar of crunchy peanut butter. The last thing we need is 3 cups of Rice Krispies. And now we're just going to mix this all together. You don't want to see any streaks of marshmallow or peanut butter. You want it to be mixed well. And I think we're there. Super easy. And for this, I'm just getting a parchment paper on the counter. And this is probably a 2 tablespoon cookie scoop. All we're going to do is scoop and drop. Now if you want, you can add like a chocolate drizzle on top. If you're making this for a party or an event, you can do that using a chocolate that matches that theme. But it is delicious just as is. I never do the chocolate on it. I don't think it's necessary. But I've also never made it for something special. It was usually just for us to enjoy. Okay, our cookies are going to beep now. There we go. And look at these cookies. Delicious. I'm going to let these cool. I think I'm going to leave it in the pan for like a minute or 2. Actually, no, they look good. I don't want them to overbake, so I'm going to remove it from the pan. I should have just done this actually, but they're very soft. So like this, I can just slide it off without them breaking. And we're going to have a delicious dessert today. I'm going to move this out of the way, and we're going to finish scooping our peanut juice. I'm gonna taste this last one for you guys. I mean, I know that we love it. It's a little bit smaller than the rest of them. And looks like it doesn't have that many Rice Krispies in it because it's the end of it. But let's taste this. As I expected, it doesn't have a lot of the Rice Krispies, but the creaminess of the marshmallow blends together beautifully with the peanut butter. But because it's the crunchy peanut butter, that together with the Rice Krispies makes it so delicious. That bite had more Rice Krispies. Delicious. It's one of the easiest things to make because, like you saw, all you need is a bowl, a spatula, and a cookie scoop. And that's it. And this is great for kids to make as well. It's a lot of fun for them to make this. And they'll absolutely love it. So our cookies are frozen. I'm going to transfer them into a bag. And the baked one was way too tempting. I had to bite into it. And then I was like, you know what? I got to eat it with you guys. So let's take a bite and I'll share my thoughts on this. So it's a little bit crispy on the edge, soft and chewy on the inside. And that little bit of salt that we added balances the sweetness so well. It is a delicious cookie. Okay, so two things that are obvious. Number one, the cake was cut in two. I had some people come over this evening, so I was happy to have this fresh cake that I was able to serve them. And second thing, you can see that once the cake cooled, I sprinkled some confection sugar on top. I like the look of it without having to work for an icing. I don't have the best of luck with icings, so this works for me. So I'm gonna taste test this and then we're gonna cut it up and freeze the rest. So the marble, I see every slice is gonna be slightly different for the marbleization. I probably could have baked it a bit longer. I don't remember if I told you, but I baked it for an hour and 5 minutes. So we're going to taste test this now. Oh wow. It's a delicious brownie cake. Really delicious texture. And the wetness of this is really, really good. I probably could have baked it a bit longer. You can see the bottom part is a lot creamier. I had baked it for an hour and 5 minutes. Maybe I could have done it longer. Let me actually take a bite of that part and tell you what I think. It feels fine. It doesn't feel that much wetter than the top. But maybe I could have done it for like an hour 7. Between 7 and an hour and 10 minutes maybe. Also something I'm noting. The recipe called for a cup of cocoa. And the last time that I made it, I felt like it was too chocolatey. It was too heavy. It was not something that my family enjoyed. So I wrote down to do a 3/4 cup. And it's delicious. Okay, so while I'm finishing this, I'm going to cut this into 3 pieces, I guess. And we're going to get it into bags. We're also going to do our peanut cheese. Now this I had put into the freezer. And I didn't tell anyone in my family that I made it. I had an errand to run. I left my house. When I came back, my husband tells me that he doesn't know if this is supposed to be baked or what it is. But he took one. And it was delicious. So, feedback that even frozen, it was good. And I'm guessing that it wouldn't take much to defrost it. So I can tell you as of the editing of this video, all of these goodies are gone. I baked the last few cookies, these peanut chews are done, the cake is done, everything was enjoyed. So if you enjoyed this quick little video, hit the like button, and if you want to see more, consider hitting the subscribe button, and I hope to see you in the next one.